So, Prime Minister, you highlighted the risks from disruptions towards the end of your speech in the Gulf and, of course, the Strait of Hormuz. Now, in practical terms, we know that you're also the finance minister. Now, how exposed is Malaysia today? And what are the most critical links in our energy and other security frameworks? I think that is a question that deserves an immediate answer while we try to gather the others. Would you take that, please?
Thank you, Vice. Malaysia is a trading nation. Certainly, there will be disruptions, and it's affecting us right now. We trade, of course, extensively with the United States. The largest trading partner remains the United States. Very strong with China and growing strength with China, and Europe and the Middle East or West Asia. And the disruptions, of course, as you know, in the States of Hormuz, and as a result of the destruction of many of these facilities in the Gulf, as a result of the Iranian reaction also, um, is adversely affecting our energy requirements, fertilizers, food products, imports, and general trade. Now, we are fortunate in that sense that we're more insulated as compared to many of our neighbors. But what's affecting our neighbors is affecting us. We work with the ASEAN community as one integral part of the community of ASEAN countries. And the disruptions, not only from oil and gas, there's a lot of misunderstanding, but also the requirement like fertilizers, animal feed, which is causing this massive escalation in terms of prices. That is why, not only in terms of our own advantage, but I think for the sake of the world, international community, we have to urge countries to secure an amicable resolution. And I understand the stance taken by Iran, because it would be extremely difficult for them to agree on a temporary pause when they know that the hostility, particularly by Israel, continues unabated. So I think the international community, group like ISIS, SETA, must do your best and utmost to try and help resolve this. But certainly it is getting worse. And we in Malaysia, for example, to have set up our own economic team, our crisis team, our communication crisis team, because it's not just a policy prescriptives needed. It's the welfare and lives of our common men and women, you know. And those in the largely poorer category will be worse affected. I fail to understand how political leaders, particularly those who talk about human rights, dignity, can ignore this fact. The disruptions is not just economic disruptions per se, it's causing miseries to hundreds of millions of lives.
Okay, that rounds up the first answer to the question. We will begin, as I see, first at the center, then right and left. I already see several hands. Perhaps I could start with you since I saw your hand. Yes, please introduce yourself and ask the question.
Thank you. My name is
You may sit. You may sit down. Yes, yes, because the mic. Yes.
Thank you. My name is Mustafa Jener from SETA Foundation. Honorable Prime Minister, first of all, I'd like to thank you for commitment of yours advancing Turkey-Malaysia relations. My question is about how do you believe Malaysia's unique experience with pluralism, inclusiveness, civilizational approach can provide a template for resolving issues in West Asia, while we're certainly aware that foreign aggression against regional countries, especially as we see today against Iran and Gaza, is a primary root cause for instability. What could Malaysia's unique experience offer toward establishing resilient, strong regional alignments in West Asia? Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. I think you basically got that. Yeah, we'll go to the next question. Hang on. Two more. Yes, one on that side towards the back, please. Sorry. Yes, yes. Please raise. Yes. Introduce yourself. Yes, that in the middle. Yeah, that's you. Yes.
All right. Hi. Good morning. I'm Kamal Amirul Al Azhar bin Kamal Ameh. I'm from Tubuhan Perdana Nationals. Thank you for the insightful session, Datuk Sri. While Malaysia and Turkey share strong diplomatic ties, I believe the future of these relationships lies in the hands of the younger generations. In advancing Malaysia-Turkey relations, how can we move beyond ad hoc engagements to systematically institutionalize the role of youth leaders and civil society actors? More importantly, are there concrete, forward-looking framework such as structured exchange ecosystem or joint innovation platforms that can meaningfully empower Malaysia and Turkish youths to co-create impact at scale? Thank you.
Thank you. Yes. Why? We've chicken out or what? Yes. Yes, please. Yes.
Good morning, sir. I'm Commodore Jasveer Singh from the National Resilience College, sir. Sir, if as all of us are aware, sir, that 40% of the global trade passes through the Malacca Strait, sir. Indian Ocean appears to be becoming the new playground with warships and research vessels of at least more than 50 countries in the region at any given time. And we know what is happening in South China Sea. In the ongoing war in Middle East, we have seen the importance of Strait of Hormuz. My question is, how is Malaysia placed to handle any crisis situation in the region with South China Sea on one side and Indian Ocean on the other side, both on economic front and the defense front?
Thank you. I gather you are a participant from India at the Residence College? Yes, okay. So there are three questions. Perhaps Prime Minister can take that first.
Terima kasih. First issue with the risk of disruptions. Well, Malaysia is also navigating. I'm not suggesting that we have all the answers, but Malaysia is a multiracial, multicultural country, and we have a best of civilizations, the Malay world, Indian, Chinese, and of course the exposure to the Western world. So it is unique in that sense. And navigating is, of course, more complex and complicated. We had in the past experiences, pre-independence and after independence, from time to time, minor racial tensions. But I am proud to say that as a Malaysian, generally, the vast majority of our people acknowledge the fact that whilst Islam is the religion of the Federation, the religious tolerance is, to me, unrivaled. You see, we continue to have problems naturally, racial issues. The Malays, the Muslims are the majority, but we have a pronounced number of ethnic Chinese. One of the largest ethnic Chinese minorities are in Malaysia. One of the largest Indian ethnic minority is also in Malaysia. And then you have other indigenous tribes. Now, how do we navigate? With patience, with tolerance. You're not going to satisfy everybody. You see in the media, every other day there'll be some complaints, some additional demands. But it requires maturity and patience. To my mind, the focus should be stability. We have to continue to educate and alert our masses, the level of conscientization, to understand that without that stability, key stability, the risk is there. So one is stability, one is clarity policies. That's where we focus. We need to push ahead with economic development, new technology, making the necessary adjustments, democratization of access to education at all levels, And these, I think, are issues that we should highlight. And I'm not suggesting, therefore, this would be a good example for the rest to follow. Countries have their own, historical antecedents, challenges, but for now, despite the fact that huge issues, number of issues that we have to grapple with, and now with the economic crisis, and a lot of extremist demands. Now, having said that, the fact that we are able to unite this country as a multiracial, multireligious country, there are also poles. You can see in the media, for example, extreme pole of Malay supremacy, or Islamic dominance, or then the Christian groups, or the Hindu, coming for the Hindu extremist appeal. There are small pockets like that, but I think I would concede among the Malays or Chinese or Indians or Sarawakans, Sabahans, generally people do acknowledge the fact that for this country to survive and manage, we'll have to be sane and understand that we cannot satisfy everyone. Even when you choose disagree, there must be some decorum principles in place. Thank you. Now, second issue on the Malaysia-Turkey exchange of youth. In my discussions, a number of discussions with President Erdogan, we acknowledge the fact that we have to enhance the bilateral relations in all fields, a comprehensive strategic partnership. But we also realize that it must encompass a wider spectrum. That's why you have this unique experience between ISIS and SETA. Not too many countries we have these arrangements, but it's part of the extended, should I say, venture into a field that would involve academicians, scholars, strategic thinkers. I assume they were thinkers, right? And then extending beyond that, of course, exchange, youth, students exchange, professor exchange, universities, which is happening. And you ask me, of course, we need to do a bit more. Hopefully, we can resolve this economic crisis sooner, then we can extend this program. But certainly, I mean, without exaggeration, most of you from either Malaysia or Turkey know that about my personal, familial, and also personal relationship with President Erdogan has gone for decades. And what I admire about him, as I said it publicly, he was a friend when I was a minister. He was a friend while I was in prison. He remained a friend, a consistent, coherent, a true meaning of friendship. He doesn't choose me because I happen to be the prime minister. No, when I was in my darkest hour, there will be communications. I mean, that is the true meaning of friendship. Now, in the question in India, you see, of course, States of Malacca, now the collaboration between the ASEAN strategic intelligence military collaboration is being further enhanced. Thus far, the understanding is, to my mind, the collaboration is again extremely satisfactory. Not that we don't have issues. I mean, as you know, Malaysia have issues, border issues. All our neighbors and most of our countries all have issues on borders. But it's never to the extent that it leads to further tension. And this is, to my mind, unique. If I meet my Thai counterpart, there's be issues. I say, okay. We discuss this and let the team, technical issues, bring. And we can't deal with it, we defer that to another time and deal with things that we can agree upon. Now, we have issues, for example, with the Thai border, but we're building projects together, new bridges, new infrastructure. This is amazing. We have issues with Brunei. We have extremely excellent, should I say, collaboration and relations in economy, in trade with Petronas and the Brunei Oil Company. Indonesia, I mean, no other country do we have that sort of relations. He comes in and fly and have a quick dinner and go back. And I went there for a few hours and have dinner and exchange. So though the more, should I say, contagious and difficult issues will continue to be discussed. But when it relates to the Straits of Malacca, we say the same thing. ASEAN should then hold the fort because it affects the borders within ASEAN. But the Indian Ocean is close by, so I've said to Prime Minister Modi, please be comfortable to engage with us. But when it comes to the Straits of Malacca, then let ASEAN have this understanding between the countries as involved. But beyond that, India remains to be a very important partner, not only in trade, but in friendship, in culture, and everything. Similarly, with President Xi Jinping, South China Sea is created as a major issue internationally, particularly by the West. I don't think so. Of course, we have issues. We have counterclaims, but we have not shown, neither us nor China have shown any sort of antagonism or animosity, or for that matter, any intention to escalate the tension. We have excellent relations, trade, commerce, military, in every field possible. I mean, some regions may not like it, but it's our business. We have decided that we work with our neighbors as true, trusted friends. Yes, I concede that there are some issues when it comes to China, the Philippines. We are meeting again ASEAN leaders in Philippines next month, and we will convey the same thing, that we will press for code of conduct between ASEAN and China, which they have agreed, in order to secure and resolve this problem without the interference of other forces. And that's very critical. Malaysia is of the position that we must be able to resolve this. So whether it's Indian Ocean or South China Sea, we maintain our right and our fierce independence in attempting to resolve our own problems and differences.
Fierce independence, South China Sea issues, Strait of Malacca, furtherance of youth undertaking, and of course the general overall efforts that we can do for Malaysia and Turkey. That the Prime Minister has just covered. And now we go to the next round of questions. Please continue to raise your hands. I will start again. Let me be a bit fair to start from the right now. So you've got one right there, right in front, please.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Prime Minister, sir, thank you for your insightful speech. My name is Tarek Üngen from the SETA Foundation. I'm currently pursuing my master's degree here at University Malaya. My question is, what must be done to further and advance our new regional alternatives in technology and industries, such as the semiconductor and car industries here in Malaysia, and the newly emerging Turkish defense industry? In your opinion, what must be done to expand and integrate these industries on a bilateral level? Thank you.
Thank you. That's pretty well structured there. Now, right the center, you, lady. Thanks.
Thank you very much. I'm Fatma Al-Zahra Hassan. I'm the Chargé d'Affaires of Egypt. Thank you, Your Excellency, for your very mind-illuminating speech and giving us the opportunity to interact with Your Excellency. As Your Excellency mentioned, the war in West Asia is pressuring on the world economies. This pressure is exaggerated with the closure of the Strait of Hormuz. Your Excellency mentioned something about the Malacca Strait. And this can also, but from a security perspective and intelligence perspective. But what I'm asking about is from an economic perspective. This pressure of the Hormuz, Strait of Hormuz also can be reflected to the Malacca Strait as the second choke point after Hormuz. What are the measures which Malaysia can take to deal with that pressure, especially with its neighbors who are partners in the Malacca Strait from an economic perspective? Again, thank you very much for ISIS and SETA for giving us this unique opportunity to talk to His Excellency. Thank you.
Thank you. Over here. Let's see. Yes, gentleman here. Right, yes. And I'll call on you afterwards, yes.
Datuk Sri, sir, I'm First Admiral Muhammad Amin from National Resilient College. We have several of us from certain country also, from India, Thailand, Singapore, Pakistan, and India. Thank you very much, first of all, for the government of the day under your leadership to improve our stability and security by some of procurement for the Malaysian Armed Forces asset we bought from Turkey. We hope that more effort to be taken by the government to improve our asset in the future, especially buying it from Turkey. My question is that in operational term, what immediate area of cooperation should Malaysia and Turkey prioritize in translate strategic intent into tangible outcome? Thank you very much, Datuk Sri.
Okay, the Prime Minister has signaled that this will be the last question. I told you, he said there's going to be 1 hour, but now it looks like this is 45 minutes. Well, we'll take whatever we can. Yes, you at the end there, please.
Hello, Dr. Sri. My name is Nasiha. I'm from Media Bernama. My question is, Malaysia is a major player in LNG, and so does Turkey. With the ongoing energy crisis happening right now, how can both work more closely to ensure supply for domestic usage is sufficient and perhaps as bridge to European market or other market that needs it? Thank you.
Okay, so there are 4 questions. Prime Minister will handle them in the sequence. And when that ends, I will signal the end of this Q&A. Prime Minister, please.
No, yeah, I'm sorry because as you know, we have to grapple with economic issues. We have emergency meetings with the Economic Council, and I have to focus on that too. Otherwise, they say that Anwar be flying high internationally, you cannot land. Now, on the issue of defense collaboration and bilateral with Turkey, the first question, yes, you see, one of the countries that we do focus is those who reciprocate. Turkey is an exception. So there has been some collaboration in terms of procurement of armaments, but beyond that, in education, in research, in culture and the arts, and of course, in semiconductor. The president, when he was here, was very keen to make sure that the collaboration in the semiconductor field can be further developed. Turkey is very strategic too, between Asia and Europe. Historically, has that peculiar advantage, having that engagement both with Europe or the West in particular, and also Asia. So I think we recognize that, and I think traditionally, even in past governments, to be fair, Malaysia have given such a priority to Turkey, but more so because of my personal friendship with President Erdogan, things are made easier. On the second issue on Egypt, Shukran, why do you ask me difficult questions? And yes, I mean, I'm very grateful, firstly, because in my last week's call to President Abdel Fattah Sisi, he was extremely cordial and helpful. You see, when bilateral relations or internal relations come to a stage where there's trust and frank exchanges and engagement, it helps. For example, just a call with President Sisi or Emir of Qatar or President of Iran, we just don't pass just normal exchanges. We engage as friends, as trusted friends. So my engagement with Abdel Fattah Sisi was extended on issues of his initiative, of the meetings that they plan to have in Islamabad, of his personal concerns, and what he thinks that I can do in a small way. We're a small country far away. but small country to probably relay some messages to the president of Iran or things like that could only happen, again, as I say, if you have that level of trust. So I'm of course grateful, and then I told him that, despite the fact that we are having financial difficulties and economic difficulties due to the impact of the West Asia crisis, but many Malaysians are very have strong empathy towards the plight of our brothers and sisters in Gaza, and said, no, we want to continue the assistance. So 30 containers has been sent and stuck, and just a matter of minutes, President gave me an assurance, said, Anwar, we give priority to Malaysia. Please take my word for it that we'll make all the arrangements that your team can pass through from Cairo to Rafah and etc. See, to me, this is important, this level of trust. Now, on the Straits of Hormuz, of course, we are keen that the free flow. And we are again fortunate in my call to President of Iran. I mentioned to him, look, our 7-hour major ships are stuck and it will cause difficulty. He gave immediate instructions to see that, look, there will be some technical, intelligence, military arrangements that the National Security Council would follow through. But immediate, he says, please inform, be informed, be assured that I give immediate instructions. This again can only happen when you have this sort of level of trust in terms of these engagements. And but how do you resolve this? Of course, this is an arrangement that international community must decide. But I can understand also the Iranian position. That's why we are not endorsing that call to open and to ignore the issues in West Asia. Just like countries say, we condemn the Iranian response, the escalate, the impact the neighbors. Of course, I'm concerned. I mentioned to the President of Iran, on behalf of my colleagues in the Gulf of Qatar and UAE and Saudi Arabia, I said, look, I heard from them their concerns because their civilians and facilities have been affected. I did raise, you see. But I did it as a friend who understands their predicament. But this country has been attacked and severely bombed. The school children and facilities. And I can't just ignore that. Naturally, I started by saying that, look, Malaysia has taken a very strong position condemning the hostile actions and the aggression by Israel with the help of the United States. Unequivocal our position. It's strong. It's tough. It is a major risk. We're a small country, small player. But we have to say that. But at the same time, I did express the concerns of our friends in the Gulf. Some of the Gulf countries was questioning, why do I engage with Iran? I said, look, at least I represent your concern. But I can't ignore the fact that, that many countries would choose to say one thing but ignore the other. We can't. We take a very consistent, coherent position. Now, whether the Straits of Hormuz should be open, yes, it should be. We subscribe to the UNCLOS. But we know also some areas are closer to Oman, under Oman territory. There are some areas closer to Iran territory. And I'm not here to decide on behalf of these countries, except through a meaningful, reasoned dialogue to secure an understanding and find a resolution what can happen, what needs to be done. Not by dictates of nations. I grew up in my from varsity days, very strong anti-imperialistic moves, or measures, or policies, or anti-colonialism. I support my fathers and mothers' struggle for independence, right? And I remain consistent. I cannot condone any form of imperialistic or colonial desires. whether it's in the West Asia region or any part of the world. That's why how do I see the issue of Gaza? It's politics of dispossession, an area colonized, destroyed, and with impunity. And we don't say much. I can't accept that. Even we say, we don't really mean it. And that's also another problem. Now, similarly, now what's happening in the region? How can we ignore the fact that Iran can be attacked in that manner? I mean, people disagree. I mean, the Iranian governance and the system of government is different from ours. Don't ask me whether I agree fully with them or they agree with me. It's not my business for the Iranians to decide. But my point is, we cannot condone any form of aggression against any country, period. Okay. Therefore, we condemn that. Now, the escalation has resulted in some difficulties in our neighbors. And we did express our concern. But we have to condemn first the Israeli aggression that led to this, but second, the escalation, because we want the Gulf countries to also be protected. It's important. They are our important friends, and they've been collaborating excellently with us, without exception. And therefore, it's a very painful experience for us to see that. So the States Hormuz, I think Egypt is in a better position to influence this. I told President Fattah Sisi, encourage him strongly to continue that effort with the four countries, Pakistan, Turkey, Oman, and Egypt. And hopefully, inshallah, there will be some form of resolution. The National Resilience College, well, we do collaborate with Turkey, but Malaysian procurement policy is, of course, through a very transparent tender exercise. There were some controversies. And of course, I lead the government, despite all the criticisms about issue of governance. I'm telling you, this is the first time in our history that we have taken tough measures against abuse of process and abuse of power or corruption, including in the issue of procurement of armaments. So that policy stands. Now, therefore, the technical committee must advise us what is the best, competent, and competitive in terms of price. They've recommended some facilities through Turkey. We're happy with it. And with the support of the President, Erdogan, that helps facilitate, brought down the price, cut this, not only red tape, but also the commissions by the agents. These things are being done because of this understanding. I told President Erdogan, look, I want to change the system of procurement. And he said, yes, I can assure you, we change the system, we'll bring down another 10% or 15%. So that's how we continue to work. It's not still ideal, but it's still in the process. And for the matter with China, with even United States, people here, the opposition attacked me for buying Boeing from the United States and Airbus from Europe. I see, we ordered before the war. And secondly, what else do you want me to buy? I can buy, we can make planes over now. So, because of the, they say American aggression, therefore you must not buy. I said, Boeing can be bought only from the United States and Airbus from Europe. We tried. I talked to President Lula, but he's plane. He said, you can, but we have to wait for another 6 years. Meanwhile, we will continue to ride horses. So there are limitations, but we are, despite the fact that my position of the U.S. foreign policy, we engage very well, and we don't have prejudice. We have no problems. But I thought it is a good deal, very intense engagements, and we procure the planes that we require for our communications and transportation. So you decide what to do, what to buy. I don't decide. You see, the country sometimes because the past practices, they say, sir, what do you recommend? I say, no, I don't have the expertise. I don't know which tank to buy. There are hundreds of tanks. But you tell me, if you come and give me the recommendations, sir, only one tank in the world is suitable. You give all the specs that only fits that particular company. I'm, of course, suspicious. There are hundreds of tanks in the world, and you come and give me recommendations, only one specification that fits the entire requirement of this country. Voila. That's not acceptable. Bye. And then, okay, Bernama question, yeah? Of course, we work very closely with Turkey. And of course, for now, projection to May, June, although we are, and people think that we are all producing nation, yes, but we're a net importer too, because our products, the premium brand, which costs slightly higher, but we still import. But credit goes to Petronas because they have an excellent track record, excellent relations with these oil-producing countries, and therefore we don't have that sort of a crisis in terms of supply. There may be some price disruptions, but the supply for the next few months, we are quite assured of that. But on LNG too, because of our massive production here in Malaysia and our import from Australia, which is a long-standing arrangement, and our major success in the procurement in Canada with Petronas Canada operations. But with Turkey, as I mentioned to you, all fields, including LNG, semiconductor, we are exploring in a very aggressive manner. And President Tayyip Erdogan is not an easy man to deal with. He's tough. He wants it to be done. He wants it to be done yesterday. So similarly with me, that's why we become great friends. But you are right. We are not sometimes. I'm not blaming necessarily the bureaucracy, but sometimes we are tied to the old ways. You buy, you assume it must be that. That's why when it comes to buying planes, it doesn't matter. Yes, we go to Airbus, we go to Google, United States, but we also go to Spain and China and negotiate whether they can supply or not. So we don't have that truncated viewpoint that it must be from a traditional allies or countries. For example, with India, in my discussion with Modi. By the way, President Modi ji had an excellent visit here. He said one of the great visits he made, very good. And I went there too and sang some Hindi songs, which was viral. I think very soon, if I retire, I can start probably changing the profession. But what is important to my mind is where and areas that we can be both beneficial to our countries. We should proceed. And this, I think, thank you, and the Deputy Secretary General of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is here. I mean, we take a very open view. We integrate, we excel, we make sure that we take all necessary measures to accelerate the process of engagement, of relations with all countries. And this is, I think, the advantage of being, as I said, fiercely independent. And I think the first generation of Malaysians, when they formed ASEAN, they said neutral. Then many people have misgivings. Neutrality connotes a different thing. It means you can, you take sort of a non-committal stance on what is right and wrong. So that's why we changed the term. Yeah. So it is active non-alignment. Leave it to the the foreign ministry to coin all these difficult terms that nobody understands. But it conveys a very strong message. That means it's not neutral, because neutrality means you're neutral. How can you neutral when there are massive massacres or countries being attacked or colonized? You can't be neutral against what is right and wrong. But you can be non-aligned in terms of expressing yourself with such clarity, but at the same time takes a strong position on the principles of justice. So terima kasih to Faiz, who's done remarkable work. Thank you very much. I can't craft that sort of a brilliant essay to thank him, but terima kasih is sufficient. Wa tashakur.
Thank you, Prime Minister. Thank you, Prime Minister, for that wonderful keynote address. Thank you, Prime Minister, for fielding this 45 minutes of excellent, fascinating, engaging, and most enlightening Q&A. On that note, please join me. Well, please, Prime Minister.